people of a film feel that they are going to remain younger as they are. I see that people forget that as they keep celebrating their birthdays and they are wishing that they will live 100 years, 80 years. Hey, come on. If you turn 100 years, you are not a 20-year-old child. 100 years, you are a centenarian.
It goes beyond this. It will have a real impact on the community. Because if all we do, come and do the PhDs and MPhils, and that's what it is. But we don't have we are disconnected from the average elderly person in the community. What good is it? When I came here at the psychology department, and then around about 2013, at that time, I'd been asked to head the Department of Psychology. I started to really push the idea pretty much. So around about 2013, 2014, I started to consult about the idea. And the first person I had spoke to is Professor Ernest Ayite, who then was the Vice Chancellor, and discussed the idea of a Center for Aging Studies. And he was fully in support. He really was very supportive and encouraged me to push ahead with the idea. And so then, after I prepared a proposal, he encouraged me to consult Professor Samuel J. Mensah, the provost at the time. So between Professor Ayite and Professor J. Mensah, I was encouraged. Then I brought some young people who were with me at the time. One was my TA called Abna Safo, who is now Dr. Abna Safo at KNUST. Another one is Anna Jaba Mensah, who is still with me. She's now a senior clinical psychologist at Kolebu. And then there were others, like some young colleagues who were also involved, especially Dr. now Professor Joanna Salifu Yendok. And then Ama Edu. Ama Edu was with me when the approval was granted. And we started my office at ISE. And Professor Jameson, the provost, used to refer to it as a one-man center. So that's how we started. Me, 2 assistants, sometimes 3 assistants. Edu can tell you, Dr. Adobe, people were coming there. That's the only place. To the point that the provost, Jameson called it a one-man center. I go into places that now that we have a center, we have to have a space. And for me, it didn't matter where. So by that time, the Spanish issue, Prof. I stay at left office, and Prof. Ebenezer Odros, who had come in, and he was fully supportive for the center as well. So I went to him. I went harassment. I went. And then he would tell me, go to Prof. Kwame Ofe, the Pro Vice Chancellor. So we do a 2 of them. I was harassing them. They found me a space around the library. I said, oh, this one, I beg you. Partly later on, then Prof. Ofe. So they said, this bungalow, somebody is leaving. So I went to PDMS to worry the staff there. I went to the person's house to make sure that a house was done. I'll go to Prof. Ofe for approving things. Eventually, we were granted this house. People were excited by the idea, especially Dr. Araba Sefadede. May her soul rest in peace. And I want to always say, I think about, I get emotional because she was so excited. She was bringing people. She brought Reverend Professor Ayite Yampong and many others to join the group. Professor Araba Apt, a well-known sociologist / social worker. And then my own department was psychology. And number of people also became very interested in the aging. It's not really what I saw, rather what was in my dream, that having lived in the UK, worked with stroke patients in the 80s and did my PhD with stroke patients in the 80s, worked with a number of older folks as well, and then going to Halifax, Nova Scotia, working with veterans and teaching aging. And I was actually surprised that there isn't really a program, even though some programs, aging was in several other courses or other units here. I think whether it was psychology, social work, Center for Social Policy Studies, there were people who were gerontologists. So people were in small areas, but I felt like I did in other institutions that are in New York. There's the National Institute of Aging in the US, that we needed for university, a premier university, needed a Center for Aging Studies. And in my investigations, I realized there was none across the sub-region. I'm not even sure whether still there's any. So I felt the urgency, and as I said, Professor Aiti and Professor James really supported. And then a colleague of blessed memory, Dr. Araba Sefadigi, senior clinical psychologist at the medical school, who really was so interested, and she really encouraged me and very, very supportive. And also her junior colleague at the time, now Professor Angelo Furata, they all came on board. Then others started to really come on board as well. Dr. Delali Dovi was there in the late, as we were preparing this as well. There were others that joined. There were quite a few of them that also joined. Later on, people like Dr. Akoso Ajiman and others also joined. I've talked to many people, including Professor Amadi Grab-Akins, for example. So that people then started to really give me some support. And my goal was not to be just a purely academic, but have a community-based. In other words, the public outreach for me, it was so critical and crucial. So it's those kind of things. And then people were coming from the community. So people like Reverend Professor Ayite Yampong, who joined us, and Dr. Esi Ansan, and others. And then our class star, Mrs. Akwele, Usebonso, and others, all had come in. So people then started to be enthusiastic about the idea.
I think the Center for Aging Studies hasn't been resting at all for the past 10 years. The center has taken a serious look at a number of issues that affect older persons in the country. It has committed itself to first gathering data, on neurocognitive issues or illnesses that arise as a result of aging. We are currently, for example, collecting, data on multimorbidity, medication adherence, and pill burden, and how these have impact on healthy aging. We are also, for example, through our community programs, changing and shaping the minds of young people. And we are drawing the attention of various stakeholders to the need to support older persons through our Project 100 Wheelchairs donation. So we're doing a lot. And I think that if there is any unit in Ghana and arguably in the West Africa sub-region that has been committed to the issue of aging and bringing the issue to the fore, to governments and to stakeholders and to all of us, to be aware of that this is something that affects all of us, and we are all going to grow, and we are growing. You can't look elsewhere at the Center for Aging Studies.
Okay, so the center basically runs two major sets of programs, the academic programs and the non-academic programs. So for the academic programs, it's mainly targeted towards students, and it's a postgraduate program. So we have the MA in Aging Studies, MA Counseling, we have MPhil in Aging Studies, and PhD in Aging Studies. For the non-academic or the educational programs, we have the International Day of Older Persons, normally done 1st October. We have community outreach programs. We have the international research conferences. We also have virtual webinars and colloquia. And we also do have the dance therapy for older persons.
Yes, I was director from 2021 to 2023. And at that point in time, the key thing that I had to focus on was to getting the programs accredited, because they wanted to start academic programs. Prior to that, the focus was on advocacy and awareness creation about the center.
So, sitting in the office and having to do paperwork and stuff like that is different. Usually when you go on the field, that's when you see real experiences. You see how the activities you are doing in the office is literally changing someone's life. You go in the field and you're having a program and someone is just happy and fulfilled because you decided to bring something closer to them. You decided to bring some form of intervention close to them.
If we fill ourselves with education and doesn't change the way we do things, then the education has not taken place. So in my classes, in my bid to educate people on aging and make sure the information is something that can change them for better, and then not just fill them with information that they cannot work with. And that is why I like doing a lot of practical things. So sending students out to go and do researches, doing so many things, and maybe some of the program that we do at the center, 1st October program. These are things that, can be with the person throughout the person's life.
The hardest part of this work is when we are having events that involves bringing older persons, because they are frail. You have to give them extra care. Even if you are giving them a bath, you must give them something which is very comfortable. You must make sure in the morning they have something to eat so they can take their drugs and all that. So most of the time, the hardest part is gathering them, making them comfortable for an event.
When we talk about interventionary programs for Ghana and related older adults, the interventions actually, some of them seem to be ageist in nature. For example, the NHIS. For NHIS, you can only have it for free when it is you are 70 years and above. But then you see that a person retires at 60 and must live for a decade before benefiting from free NHIS, which is not fair. Because definitely you see that some people may even pass before they're 70 and they will not get to benefit from NHIS.
Manpower crisis is one of our problems. We need more hands. We need to be able to hire other workers, lecturers, faculty to help the work we are doing here. Beyond that, we also have a problem with regard to space. We don't have space. And so even if you got the people, where to allocate for them as an office is a problem. These are some of the needs. But again, because the center works on a vulnerable population, occasionally you will see an elderly person popping in, walking alone, frail, doesn't have a place to stay, hasn't eaten, and has maybe a medical need. Usually, the center would have to pick up such a cost.
So it's something that I look to now and I'm very happy about. But I started working on trying to get something built for older persons around so that anytime they come to campus, they could have a place to kind of relax and also come to the center and engage with the people who work there.
For a long time, aging became a taboo, which is very unusual because in our African society, wisdom goes with age. But westernization, as possibilities, has brought people like People are now talking about nuclear family. When I was growing up, nuclear family is me, my brother, my sisters, my cousins. But in our languages, there's no word for cousin. Meanwhile, right, and so now, there are old people living alone than ever before. So my dream is that this center will have a community-based program where we can go, old people or senior people come and spend a day or two every day for a few hours, because social interaction is good. It enhances your memory. It reduces the onset of a dementia. Social engagement, active aging means healthy living. So if we can have this program, and my goal is that aging, this center will spread and have community centers all across the country, all the regions of the country.
I kept encountering older people who were simply invisible in their systems meant to serve them. Sometimes we don't even, see them. An example is on campus, when the person retires and his or her contract is due, in most cases, we don't normally recognize them or see them again.
And so the increasing the creation of the family is worsening things for older adults, and that is leading also to situations of isolation. And so research is proving that sometimes when people live alone, they get isolated. But you can also be in a group setting and be isolated. But then interacting with people, helps make the thing a bit manageable. So research actually, throws light on the situation on the ground. And more often than not, makes suggestions or recommendations as to what can be done to make life better for older adults compared to what exactly is on the ground.
In our current data collection that we are, which is currently ongoing, we are for the first time noticing that quite a number of participants who have been part of the project are living alone. And some are as old as 80 years plus, and they are living alone. Anything at all can happen. They can slip and fall, and there's nobody to help them. So we are also looking at caregiving. Aging will mean that we need to look at the care economy and find out what we can do about that. Especially, can we train a cadre of geriatricians or a cadre of young persons who can, for example, learn a few skills on how to provide support service for older persons? Can we do that? Yeah. And so these are some of the implications.
What are we not prepared for? We are not prepared for the numbers. It means that today we don't have the masses, but gradually it is building up. And it means that whatever interventions that are needed to be put in place for older adults, it must be done on an incremental basis so that when a time comes and their numbers are so large, there are already measures in place, to support them. We have increased life expectancy. People are living longer in contemporary times than used to be the case. So it means that then we need to prepare for such longer lives. But government's role is not working. And the question you asked that what are we missing out? There are policies, a lot of policies that are in the youth. Women, children, maternal something. But everybody will grow and pass through their life course and get to old age. And old age doesn't have much of those. All the policies are on this side and not on this side. But the thing is, we all shall get there if we do not die premature. Ghana, like Kenya, has had older adult policy, what we are calling the aging bill now. The bill is still there. The old version of it is 2010. 2025 is gone. 2026 is already in April. Are we all right? So how many more years are they left with? So these are some of the small things they will have to do, and also to make sure that the NHIS, can be brought, the free nature of it can be brought to 60 years, so that people can benefit from it before their maker, calls them.
Quite a number of things need to change at national level, but I think that a few are of priority or of utmost concern. One of them is the passing of the aging bill. I am aware it's been more than 10 years since this was presented to Parliament. Maybe hitting over 15 years something like that, because I remember they should have been submitted somewhere around 2010. And so we need a policy framework for this. We need something that gives us the legal, framework within which geriatric services are delivered.
One other issue is how, if you are old, you are a woman and single and low income, yes, you can become a witch. Once you are moved from that status, you're not a witch. So old women, single women, low income, become witches. And we have to try to really dispel the stigma about the way we see older women, older low-income women.
Currently, for example, data indicates that people are abusing older persons in Ghana. When a bill is passed, it will give us a legal framework within which to address the right of older persons. For instance, people meet older persons walking on the street, and then some will call them witches and wizards. If you had a bill that is passed, it definitely will indicate what are the regulations, what are the policy framework within which such persons can be held.
I'm just proud of the fact that the Center for Aging Studies has survived 10 years. I'm proud of it, very, very proud of it. Even in the background, I'm still very proud of it. I try not to poke my nose too much. But when you have a baby and the baby is growing, even when people are pushing you back, don't come, it's difficult, isn't it? So I sit back and I'm always singing the praises of this center. But what actually I'm encouraged by is how fast the center has grown. I did not lose sight, because before I left office, I had the programs already written and prepared. The masters, MPhil in aging, PhD in aging, and then masters in counseling. They have appeared at GTech to defend some of them, and I think later on, when I left office, my successor also had gone to defend some of it. So the programs and everything that is there today, and I'm sure that my successors have done well. Professor Mavis Dakunjechi, and I think Professor Safu, in fairness, has pushed the agenda much, much, much more. I think that he's actually following the original plan, and he has brought so much more to this.
We owe older persons respect. We owe them support. We owe them services that are tailor-made.
A lot of times we tend to pity these older persons. No, it's not all of them that must be pitied, and none of them should be pitied actually. But we try as much as possible to give them the respect that they need. Once they were independent, when they were taking care of us, when they grow older, they should have that independence and the respect as well. It's only when they fall into some of these old age related diseases that they become a bit vulnerable. But even in their vulnerability, they still behave, they are independent. We must, accord them that respect.
Go to the hospitals. You'll see older persons are also in a queue. That should not be the case. They must have their own clinics. We need to get the first geriatric hospital with physicians there working purely on 60 years and beyond. And this is our vision, that the Center for Aging Studies is leading this. In 10 years to come, this should be a whole institute that is expanding into various areas of geriatrics. We're looking at, for example, multimorbidity in aging. We're looking for geroscience. We're looking for aging and technology. We're looking for caregiving dimension in aging. So it might be an institute with about 5 or 6 different departments that is really taking aging research to the next level. So 10 years to come, my hopes are just amazing and very high.